Morning, folks. I haven't been to bed yet. It's about 7:30 in the morning here. I've just been watching the boxing. I'm a little bit tired, so I forgive my appearance and if I'm a bit slow. Put it that way. Yeah, I've just finished watching just finished actually watching the. I'm going to fuck this guy's name up. I do apologise. Bakhram Murtazaliev versus Jack Culcay fight for the vacant IBF light middleweight title. I think Culcay is probably done now. He was knocked out in the 11th round. Bakhram, he pretty much dominated most of the fight. I mean, there was a couple of rounds here and there that went to Culcay. But Bakhram, he dropped him in a series of punches, punctuated by a right hand at the end of the 11th. And although Jack Culcay got back to his feet, he was done, and he staggered into the ref, and the ref quite rightly waved it off. So Bakhram is now the new IBF light middleweight title, because obviously whichever Charlo it is, I always get Jamel and Jamal mixed up. He scattered all his belts recently. So there's a new IBF champion. But it's weird. I was just thinking though, German boxing's dropped right off, because I mean, when I was growing up, it was huge. Certain stuff. They had Sven Otka, not the most exciting fighter in the world, I must say. Pretty boring, but he was he was a long reigning IBF super middleweight champion. He avoided a lot of top contenders, people like Calzaghe and people like that. He avoided. His fight with Robin Reed back in 2003 was fucking criminal. If you've ever seen the fight, not seen the fight, go and look at it. It's awful. And robbery, absolute highway robbery. But he drew big numbers in Germany. He was very popular. And then obviously you had the Klitschko brothers, who were massive in Germany. Arthur Abraham, Sebastian Sylvester, Axel Schultz back in the day. He drew massive numbers, and the boxing was huge in Germany. But since guys like the Klitschkos and Abraham and Sturm have all, Felix Sturm, there's another one, Sturm have all sort of retired, it's kind of dropped off a little bit. And I must admit, this fight flew under my radar until a couple of days ago. I was just sort of looking through the net to see what was on this weekend. Jack Culcay was fighting for the vacant IBF light middleweight title. I thought, oh Christ, because the last time, because he fringe obviously, and then I think he had the WBA regular title, which he lost to Demetrius Andrade, and he had Jürgen Brammer as well. So I was a bit sort of surprised to see Culcay still about, because I hadn't really heard a lot from. I'd seen bits and pieces of him, but not really heard a lot from him. And like I say, the German scene seems to have really died. And they've got no big names or stars coming through, and I think that's quite sad, because they always did massive shows. I mean, they could put on a show in Germany. I mean, there was always the comments people used to make that you had to knock somebody out to get a draw in Germany, and there were some stinkers of decisions back in the day. But foreigners could visit Germany and get a win here and there. I mean, I remember watching Glenn Catley knocking out Marcus Bayer, and that was in Germany. Henry Masker lost to Virgil Hill years ago. He's another German name, Henry Masker. I just think it's quite sad that boxing definitely dropped off in Germany, because I can't think of the last time there was a huge show that. I mean, my brain's a bit hazy these days anyway. I mean, every year, when you get to a certain age, obviously every year sort of blurs into another year, doesn't it? But yeah, gone are the days of the Klitschkos and Abraham, Sturm and Brammer, who were, headlining these massive shows in Germany. And the other fight I've just watched, just stepping in here because it's a bit chilly out there. Richardson Hitchins took a unanimous decision over Gustavo Lemos. Now, I actually had Lemos winning this fight. I had it 115, 113 to Lemos. There were a couple of swing rounds there, so I'm not that pissed off that excuse me, that Hitchins won it. But one of the scorecards was 117, 111, which I think is absolutely ludicrous for Hitchins. I had, like I say, I had it 115, 113 to Lemos. I just thought he started better, and he hurt Hitchins a few times in there. His punches were cleaner. I mean, Hitchins had his moments, especially in the middle rounds. He landed a couple of uppercuts. He was working off the jab at times quite nicely. There was a lot of holding at times, which I don't like. I don't like to see. And the referee didn't say fuck all, so what are you going to do? And I just felt, although I wouldn't say robbery. I've seen a lot of people online getting very upset and angry and saying robbery this morning. I wouldn't necessarily say robbery. I wouldn't have been angry. I'm not bothered that Hitchins got the decision. I mean, there were a couple, as I say, in my opinion, there were a couple of swing rounds. Could have gone either way, so fair enough. I think 115, 113 or a draw, fine. But 117, 111, something's got to be done about these. I mean, it's always been around in boxing. I mean, I always say boxing's a murky sport. Boxing's dodgy as fuck sometimes. It really, really is. And it always has been. This isn't anything new. But I do think there is a lot of incompetence as well. I think, I wouldn't say corruption all the time, but I'd say a lot of it is incompetence. And I do think some of these judges need to be held accountable. Why have you given this wide scorecard? Why have you said this? Why have you done that? I was a bit perplexed by that scorecard. And Lemos, the Argentine, he was very angry and upset. He thought he'd won. It was a good fight. I enjoyed the fight. There was some back and forth action in there, which I really, really enjoyed. I turned the commentary off because I can't bear listening to Claressa Shields' voice. She just drives me insane. She's not for me. Wonderful boxer, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, undisputed champion. Got no problem with her as a fighter. I think she's fantastic. But just personality-wise, she just rubs me up the wrong way. She's not something, and her voice just cuts through me. Like nails on a chalkboard. That's what her voice does to me. It just cuts through me. So, I mean, I tend to switch the commentary off most of the time if I'm watching boxing these days anyway. I'll give them a chance. I'll always give them a chance, but as soon as they start irritating me, I either turn it right down or I switch it off totally. And I've seen videos this morning surfacing of her squaring up to Alicia Baumgardner, who's significantly smaller than her. And it's not a fight I particularly want to see, because it would either mean Baumgardner piling on the weight to come up, which will be she'll be at a disadvantage anyway, or Claressa Shields boiling herself to come down. I'm not really interested in seeing that at all, to be honest. It probably do money. I mean, they're big names in women's boxing, so it would make sense. I mean, obviously, without, I'm probably going to get accused of being a misogynist or some other fucking annoying word that doesn't mean anything these days. But the trouble with women's boxing is it's only been in the big time for a handful of years, and there's only a handful of big names. It's just the way it is. I'm not being a prick about it. This isn't me being a prick. I'm just telling the truth. There's a handful of big names, and a handful of big fish swimming around in a tiny little pond, So of course they have to chase each other, and it's just the way it is. I mean, men's boxing has been on the map for 140 odd years. 41 years, I think, was when the Queensberry rules were. 141 years when the Queensberry rules were introduced. What we call modern boxing, what led to modern boxing. The men's game's been around for so long. The big names have been around for so long. Whereas the women, although women's professional boxing has been around since the 70s, probably before, but I know definitely it sort of took off in the 70s. It's just kind of. Again, it never got the big focus until after the London Olympics and the Rio Olympics. So again, That's why they chase each other. And I get it. I totally get it. They want to make as much money as they want. They want people to be interested. Because if you're fighting somebody who's decent but no one cares about or no one's ever heard of, well, who gives a shit? So I do understand, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to see two people who are vastly different in size fighting each other. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't like it. You know, that's just me. This is just me. You want to see that sort of thing? That's up to you. That's great. Each their own. Each their own. We're all entitled to our opinions. We all have our views. I always say this. Everything I say on here is just my opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. We can have a healthy debate about it. That's great. That's cool. Because I see a lot. The reason I'm saying this is I see this a lot on social media or just in life in general, not necessarily boxing related. It's like everybody has a go at each other. If you've got your own point of view, everyone's entitled to their point of view, their opinions, and you see people getting attacked because their point of view is slightly different to somebody else's. And it's like I don't get it. Okay, you disagree, fine. Who cares? You know, that's the way I was always raised. You know, respect other people's opinions, but always get yours across as well. And if people don't agree with you, doesn't mean they're bad people. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. You can still coexist and be friends with people just because you don't see eye to eye on something. That's life, you know. And I don't subscribe to this cancel culture stuff because somebody said something that's different to what they believe. I mean, if you're promoting hatred and violence against somebody, well, then you're a prick. And just shut the fuck up. But just because you disagree with somebody or a group of people doesn't make you wrong, doesn't make them wrong. You know, it's just everybody's got their experiences, everybody's got their ways of looking at things. And I know I'm rambling, I'm very, very tired. I'm going to go to bed in a minute. I tend to do this, I ramble and I get sidetracked, as anybody who's watched a few of my videos probably didn't realise. So that's enough out of me. I'm going to get my head down for a bit. Take care, folks. I hope you're alright, hope you're having a good weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.